This is Kurt DeVille with Counterpunch Boxing News. And I am once again live. And we need to discuss something very important on this Saturday. Roy Jones Jr., Mr. Pac Scene, 1988. Let me get set up here. (1988) Olympics. Roy Jones Jr., young, fast, sharp, strong, beat everyone, okay? When I mean everyone, he beat everyone. Mr. Pac Scene was the opponent. And of course, we know this was in Korea. That's why, of course, the favoritism was there. And Roy put on one hell of a performance. I mean, you didn't have nobody else with that type of speed, that type of talent. And it looked like it was just a shut-in, shutout, right? But obviously not. We had the winner, Mr. Pac Scene. And it was devastating for Roy. Roy went home. He was depressed for a while. He did go pro in the 90s. And he went on to become one of the greatest fighters of all time. However, that loss, he wouldn't lose again until another unfortunate mistake, I say, against Montel Griffith. And Montel Griffith was knocked out by Roy. Roy just hit him when he was on his knee, which we've seen that countless times. We've seen Triple G do it. We've seen a lot of people do that at that time, and nothing was ever done to that degree, to a disqualification. But in the first round, he avenged that. And of course, the rest is history with Roy Jones. But as of a couple days ago, he did reunite with his Olympian challenger, and with the honor the Olympian challenger had, he gave the belt back to him. And I thought that was pretty cool, man. I thought that was some cool stuff. The final boss, Luca Mora, great. Now they need to do the same for Floyd. I really do think it's up to the fighter that won. I've never seen such honor like that. Something similar was a film in I want to say this was 1988 as well, maybe. Best of the Best. If you guys can remember Best of the Best, it was with stars Philip Reed, and his brother, Dahan. He's going to kick me in my ass for this, but I can't remember his name right now. Philip and... Damn. But anyway, the star was Philip Reed, Eric Roberts, Sally Kirkland, and a lot of people were in that. You had, damn, hold on. I got to do this because I just woke up. Mine ain't clicking, and I need a licking. This is the Kachava all day. Mama Lou, hiya Kurt. It just goes to show you how corrupt boxing really is. The man who was given the victory over Roy Jones Jr. never stepped in the ring again. He retired after the Olympics in 1988. He knew he didn't win. Must have guessed that boxing is corrupt. Floyd was given a bronze medal, but the same thing happened to him. Yeah. Yeah, that was it was unfortunate for little Floyd, and a lot of people don't know about Floyd. Pretty Boy Floyd was a stand-up guy. He was nothing like the guy that became Money Mayweather. The transition was cringe, but Floyd Mayweather was a guy that he was respectful. He was named after Pretty Boy Floyd Patterson. Okay, Floyd he conducted himself. He was PR ready. He was PR trained, and he conducted himself like a gentleman when he was younger. Until he didn't. The aircraft's carrier. Salute punch. What's up, brother? Counter punch to you. Mama Lou. Not many people on yet. CJ, good day. Counter punch to you. Oh, Pat McCormick. Okay, that's cool. But yeah. Nah. This is Saturday, man. People are just not getting up. Bro, I woke up earlier and I woke up again at like 10 something. Went back to sleep thinking, They say the Asian dude was honorable in integrity, yet it took him nearly 40 years to give Roy what was rightfully his. To hell with Jackie Chan. Damn. I say better late than never. I mean, I don't know. That is a good question. You ask yourself, man, that has been a long time. It's been a good minute, a hot minute. 35 years is a long time to be now realizing that, hey, let me do this. But I don't know. Maybe it was something else involved with it. Maybe it was other politics. Maybe, I don't know. But it is a good question. They're all good questions. But yeah, better late than never, I say. Because, I mean, he didn't have to do it at all. And this hypocrisy could have just stayed a shamble. At least it has come to the forefront. So I think it's worthy of recognition. Melibongo Mokomela. Hi, Kurt from South Africa. What's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. XK shots in the building. Everything's good, man. Everything's good. But yeah, Roy, man. Roy was just the best I ever seen. Roy Jones Jr. was like the best fighter I've ever witnessed seeing fight. I remember my dad I used to get into a lot of trouble back then. But the one thing that I could do, I could watch boxing. And he allowed me to get those pay-per-view fights. And they were like $29.99 or something like that back then. They were like $30, which it wasn't a lot of money, but you have to understand this is like the early to mid 90s. And Roy was just whooping people, beating them side to side, So yeah, he was doing his thing back there. He was definitely doing his thing. I remember being shocked seeing him in The Matrix. Yeah, he was in Matrix Reloaded. I remember that, man. You know, that was back when Roy was trying to do his thing in the movies. Yeah, that was a pretty good thing to see. But you know, a lot of people, a lot of boxers, you know, they went to the film industry and they come up short. I mean, really, you know, the MMA as well, they come up short. So I remember the Italian and Spanish football teams getting robbed by corrupt officials, sort of like Roy. As Skip, he could be criticized by his countrymen for giving away the medal. In East Asia, they take the Olympics extremely seriously. Yeah, Eastern Europe as well. In fact, to this day, the Klitschko's they look at they look at the Olympics over the professionals. So what you did in the Olympics supersedes what you'd ever do in the professionals. They looked at it different. Over here, we're worried about that cash. We ain't worried about medals. Well, not as much anyway. Those Korean officials are dodgy. Yeah. Wouldn't Floyd in Korea and they did the same shit to him? Maybe that's why it took so long. Maybe. I'm pretty sure he had his reasons, you know. Maybe it was his family that didn't want him to do it. You know, maybe they were just trying to, you know, trick him into believing that he did better than he really did. Like he deserved that victory. And, you know, looking at that fight, he was like, nah, I don't see it. I just don't see it. But whatever, if you say so. So now that they're old, dude, they're in their 50s. And I don't know if that guy's in his 50s or 60s, but nah. You know, he did the right thing, though. You know what I mean? He really did. Maybe that's okay. All right, got that. Let me see. Let's see here. But no, man, Roy Jones Jr. Man, he was the man. Roy Jones Jr. is like, hey, you know, I know I won. I know that guy didn't beat me, but I'm going to the pros and I'm gonna be I'm gonna be a champ, a millionaire. You know, this guy was once upon a time the heavyweight champion of the world at one point. If you guys can remember. He just was never the same. He should have never went down. He should have just retired. If Roy would have retired, Roy would have been looked at totally different right now. If you look at Roy Jones Jr. career after he beat the Quiet Man Ruiz, after he beat him, he would have been that dude. Because that one loss, he would have been looked at as Vasily Lomachenko in the amateurs, but in the pros. You see what I mean? He would have been looked at differently. He would have been looked at as a dude that's like, hey, you know what? My one loss is a robbery. You know? And since it was a disqualification, it could never be expunged. Like someone like Devin Haney, you know, he got his ass whooped, and then because Ryan Garcia cheated, they snatched it away, but people won't forget that. Whereas Roy never got anything like that, right? The only person that knocked him down was Lou Del Valle, and it was like a body shot that made him, you know, off balance, and he fell, you know? But other than that, it was like he was flawless. He was untouchable, you know? He was that guy that, yeah, he got caught with shots by Montel Griffin, but Griffin didn't win that fight. He didn't win any of those fights. When he won the medal, he went right over to Roy and lifted him up. It sucks that he gets criticized when it wasn't his fault. Yeah, that's a national thing. What people need to understand, Olympics is all about nation and the respect for your nation. And if you do anything contrary, you're looked at as a traitor. You know what I mean? Yeah, you know. That's why football is very important. Football is very important worldwide because of that. I didn't like it when Kawasaki took advantage of him. Jones was already washed up by then. Jones was past washed by the time of the Kawasaki fight. By the time he fought Kawasaki, Roy Jones Jr. was 5 years past his prime. The guy that knocked him out primarily was Antonio Tarver, a guy that he already beat. And, you know, that being said, Roy had no business being at light heavyweight. I mean, who does that? Imagine if Alexander Usyk, being 227 pounds, decides, hey, I now want to be 175. So I'm going to take off 27 pounds to get 200 and then another 25 pounds to get to 175. Imagine that. So 175, 25, 227, 27. That's 52 pounds. Imagine if Alexander Usyk would have stripped 52 pounds in order to go back to fight at 175. That's what Roy did. That's what Roy did. It didn't stop Kawasaki claiming he was the best after he beat him. No, I mean, that's what people do. That's the reason why people. Kawasaki saying that he's the best after he beat Roy Jones Jr. Because I seen the Bernard Hopkins fight too. He beat Bernard Hopkins. They both knocked him down in the first round. I remember those fights well. Well, that's the reason why I don't want Moses Atoma to fight older fighters. I want old Moses Atoma to actually be conditioned and to earn and to own what he says that he is. Not by beating about a bunch of fighters that are past their prime. That won't get you there. That won't get you there. You got to beat these young heads too. You got to beat people parallel to your age. You got to beat people, fighters in their prime. You got to do that shit. Because Kawasaki, the reason why he's not looked at a lot different than he is because he fought people past their prime. People say that about Lennox Lewis, but they say that about Kawasaki too. See, Kawasaki was a fraud. See there? You don't want him saying that about Moses, and you're fighting a lot of older fighters. To me, nobody fails a test can be a great. Roy was good, but he was a cheat. You know, the crazy thing about Roy, when he popped, the opponent also popped. It was so ironic. It was like, okay, well, yeah, you pop, but then it's like, all right. So did my opponent. So what is this, a no contest? What are we going to do? Shit, he's juicing, I'm juicing what, A lot of those guys did that shit, man. But I don't look at drugs like people look at drugs, like people, oh, well, you're hitting somebody in the head. Well, yeah, technically, yeah, but at the same time, it doesn't mean that you are going to win. It doesn't make you any better. It might make you stronger, might make you bigger, and it might help your endurance. But does it make you better? No. Does it make you sharper and think faster? No. Now you could probably do more because you have an edge, but you have to actually do the work. That's just like anybody. I mean, you can't just pump steroids without going to the gym. You still got to do the work. And it's what people don't understand. It's something that helps you do the work. Steroids is not a cheat sheet. That's what people don't understand. It's not a cheat sheet. It's something that you can take to help you, but it's not like a folded up piece of paper where it has all the answers on it and you simply write them down or copy them. That's not what it is. It's a lot different. It's a different process. It takes a lot of energy to cheat and shit. Cycle off shit and take this and take that. Coming from a person that used to smoke a lot of weed, I know. So You know what I mean? It was a lot involved of what you had to do. You guys remember the niacin days? If you were a smoker, but you knew you had to work and you knew the work that you had to do required you to take a drug test, you should know that niacin was your friend, but it wasn't your friend. Niacin, now you could get the flush free, but the niacin that you picked up, that shit'll have your skin itching, especially if it's over 500 milligrams. If you get 1,000, may God help you. You're gonna burn. I will never forget people. I had one of my best friends. Shout out to Jeremy McManus. Jeremy McManus was one of my best friends. And this cat seen some niacin in the den of my parents' house. And he was like, Kurt, what's this? He didn't know what niacin was. And I said, nah, that flushes your system out. Well, he liked that idea because I guess he was partaking in whatever he was partaking in, right? So he wanted to be clean too. And I told him, I said, man, you can't take but one. This fool takes 5. And when he took 5, this dude gets up and he's like, Kurt, Kurt. He's itching all over, dude. And he's like, my body's in a flame. My body's in a flame. He runs out. He runs out. And it was raining outside. And this dude, he made himself throw up. Like, I guess that helped. I don't know if it helped, but he did throw up, and he came back in, he dried it off. He was just itching. And I'm thinking to myself, what a moron, because I warned him. I warned him about that. Oh, like he did with Eubank. Yeah, he did fight Chris Eubank Sr. too, didn't he? Mm-hmm. He ain't going to get credit for that. People don't talk about those type of fights, though, to be fair. He needed to fight guys like Froch, And he wasn't around unfortunately, he wasn't around when, like, Andre Ward was, right? When was Andre Ward a champion back then? 17? So he was like 10 years before that. It does make you a better because you can train a lot more with definite makes your ability better. I guess, you still got to train though, but your body is on the influence. It's just, I don't know, man. It's crazy because once you filter out all the drugs that you needed to train like you train, would your body benefit from the training you did while you were on drugs versus being off the drugs? So I don't know. Because a lot of times when, how drugs normally work, right? If you're not on the stuff at the time, it doesn't benefit you as much because your body is going through like a detoxing mode from the drugs that you took. Right? I don't know. That's what I would like to think. But Calzaghe was my idol until he ducked Froch. It felt cowardly at the time. Well, we're talking about drugs, and stuff like that. What was Calzaghe doing? You guys don't remember, Joe Calzaghe was a cocaine cowboy. Joe Calzaghe liked to play in the snow. Yeah. He liked to play in the snow, fellas. Oh, yeah. Him, Mike Tyson, Johnny Tapia, Pernell Whitaker, Oscar De La Coca. Yeah, those guys all played in the snow. But the thing about that particular narcotic was it didn't stay in your body long. So it wasn't like smoking pot, So yeah, and what does it do? It speeds your heart rate up. Jones ducked Steve Collins. Another cocaine cowboy. Yeah. So a lot of those cats, man. A lot of those cats cheated. I'm not here to judge fighters, especially when it comes to PEDs, because It depends on what they were doing. I mean, we're gonna say that shit. What about Canelo Alvarez? We're talking about, you still have channels talking about Victor Conti and what he was able to hide and mask and all that shit, but we are overlooking the whole fact that Canelo Alvarez has tested positive for clenbuterol in 2018. You know, Frach's nose would have been good for doing lines. Man, let me tell you something about Carl Froch. Carl Froch looks like a totally different person now. I mean, for the better. Because now he looks younger. Carl Froch looked like a dude that, with that big ass nose, with that big beak, with that snout that he had. Carl Froch looked like he looked like he slept under a bridge. Like it changed his whole profile of the way he looked. You seen that noggin, like, ugh. You know what I mean? He looked like somebody that slept under a bridge. You know what I mean? You know, when he got that nose filed down, and then, you know, shout out to his surgeon, and he gives his surgeon props. And someone like Carl Froch, I never really knew that he was that arrogant until he started doing shit like that. But needless to say, he did. You know, I bet you, man, he must have, like, look at his nose. He looked like different. He looked like Johnny Handsome. I don't know if you guys remember that movie. It was with Mickey Rourke, another guy that trained to box. He was in the wild card gym with Freddie Roach. Got himself a hottie now. Was he with her when he had that big ass nose, or did he get the nose then got the chick? Because don't get me wrong, his wife is gorgeous. Her voice is not a voice for radio, but she is definitely a good looking woman. Ward always said Froch was an arrogant prick. Yeah, man. We're talking about these fights like Tyson and Mayweather. They gotta hype that up really big. But this is what I wonder about Floyd versus Mike. Is Floyd doing this because he knows that Tyson can now be bought? Because what he's going to, you know, Mike, don't hit me, Mike. Mike, don't hit me. You can't hit me. If you hit me, you ain't gonna get paid. What do you mean, man? I can fight, man. We fight, we warriors. No, I know you. I seen it. I seen the NDA. I seen the NDA. You signed the NDA not to hit Jake. You signed the NDA not to hit Jake. I got a better NDA. I'm gonna give you $40 million. So don't touch me. You can punch me on my shoulder, and then I'm gonna jab you upstairs. Then I'm gonna move around. You can corner me, but you can't maul me, Mike. You can't hit me, Mike. So here's the NDA, $40 million. I seen you pull your punches. I mean, I don't know, you know, because if you see people like Floyd, you know, Floyd saw that as an opportunity because he's like, well, look, if Mike can be bought, then maybe I will buy Mike. So if you see Mike do the same shit, you know Mike has done the same shit. He's signed that paper, that NDA, stated this is how the exhibition is supposed to go. It's a scripted type. It's a scripted type thing. You go there, you get in the ring, you know, you do some peekaboo side to side stuff. You go to the body a couple times. Floyd will block shots. He'll move out the way. Then Floyd will give you combinations. You know, the good thing about Floyd, though, I don't think he has like that power to hurt Mike unless Mike comes in jacked up. But if you see an aggressive ass Mike Tyson against Floyd, Money Mayweather, you already know that he took a dive against Jake. Because if he was able to do that, now he may justify it and say, you know what, he was sick. You know, he was hospitalized, and that was the reason why they prolonged that exhibition. You guys remember that. Mike was real sick, and it was because of stomach ulcers, right? So the stomach ulcers that he had was the reason why it was prolonged. So, you know, he could say, well, hey, you know, like he said, I just got out of the hospital, and I'm just thankful to be here. I was almost died a couple months ago, right? So yeah, it's 100% just to make money. We fell for it, Jake Paul fight. Yeah, we did. I mean, all that was to make money, you know. I think the biggest scam was Floyd versus Manny. I think the biggest scam was Floyd versus Manny. That fight, Floyd fought that fight. He fought it to win. I mean, it was a bout, but nah, nah. Mike just looked old to me. I was impressed that he didn't get knocked out. Nah, that was in the NDA. See, Mike didn't engage if Jake wouldn't engage, and that's how it went. That's why I wasn't mad at Jake Paul, like, you know, like people were, like, oh, this is bullshit. Well, what it is, man, Jake Paul wasn't hitting Mike like he was hitting Tyron Woodley, was he? No, he wasn't overhanding him. He wasn't trying to lean into Mike Tyson because he wasn't paid to do that. He was paid to go 8 rounds with Iron Mike Tyson, and Iron Mike Tyson was paid to go 8 rounds with him. And they got paid handsomely for it. And they danced around the ring. And I think what people need to understand and remember about exhibitions, that's exactly what they're supposed to be. Exhibitions. They don't supposed to be anything like those sparring sessions you hear about. No. Sparring sessions are 2 or 3 steps ahead or above exhibitions. Exhibitions are they don't have contact, they don't have protection, simply based off the fact they don't supposed to get hit like that. Exhibitions, they exhibit what they can do. That means they don't try to impose their will or aggressiveness on their fighter. So people forget what an exhibition is. Now they sell it by saying it's not an exhibition, but that's exactly what the fuck it is. It's an exhibition. So remember, an exhibition is that. For these fighters, 2 fighters, sometimes, most of the time, are past their prime. Rocky Marciano, Muhammad Ali. Do you guys know they did an exhibition together? But no one really talks about that shit because it wasn't a real fight. Okay? Rocky Marciano and Muhammad Ali. Rocky had a belly out here because he could eat bread when he's no longer a fighter. Like he told his mom, Ma, I don't want the bread. No bread, Ma. No bread. You know, because he was training. So there you go. I mean, it was an exhibition. Nobody talks about that. Nobody talks about that at all. Somebody should have told Raja what an exhibition is. Who is Raja? The final boss, Luka Mora. I'm just happy Mike is getting another big payday. I mean, $20 million ain't enough. Well, let's be real. Shit, it's about 10. Taxes is killing people, bro. Taxes, sales tax, state tax, federal tax. You know? Then you gotta pay, you have to pay taxes again at the beginning of the year. And don't be successful. And by God, don't be single. Yeah. I thought that's who it is, Raja. Rampage's son. Yeah, man, I mean. Yeah, that dude, he could have died though, man. But it's almost like doing something. The slam was appropriate. All those punches after that dude was knocked out was way out of line. It's just, you know. But this is what I'm pissed off about. It wasn't really. I mean, Raja did what he was doing. But understand, the dude did what he did to Raja. Raja did what he did to the dude. Where was the fucking security? All those bitch-made security guards Did you see how many times he was allowed to hit him? Like, dude, tackle this motherfucker. He's trying to kill this guy. So why didn't anyone see that? Like, dude, after the second punch and he was leaning back to lean into this dude again, you seen dudes, they were like all scary. I'm like, yo, bro, fire that whole security crew. Fire that whole security crew. CJ, anyway, I'm back off the bed. Good night, Kurt. CJ, peace. Buenos noches. Them dudes took forever to get this dude off of him. And then he kept hitting them. And I'm like, what the fuck are y'all doing? You guys don't know how to fucking security tackle? I used to do security, bro. If you don't know how to grab a motherfucker and submit him, you don't know your job. That's who I'm mad at. I'm not mad at those two because both of those guys were out of line. That you couldn't even secure your own venue. So you hired someone for an exhibition, whatever, bout or whatever, an exhibition. You hired some morons. You hired big ass fat barrel chest dudes that were light in the ass. That's what they were. They were light in the ass. You could tell. They didn't know what they were doing. They didn't know security. You know what I mean? I was a part of the security crew about 10 years ago. I personal trained and I was a part of a security crew. And we knew what the fuck to do. We were trained in martial arts. We knew how to submit. So we knew how to grapple and to restrain a person. Shout out to John 5. Shout out to Destroyer. We were trained for that shit. And these cats sitting there watching. Damn near they're like, I'm sitting there. They're sidelining, bro. It's crazy. All day, everyday boxing. Counterpunch to you, bro. Had heat backstage. That's why no one stepped in. That's bullshit. That's bullshit because they eventually got him. So whoever, I guess, got the balls enough to tackle him. But they should have done that anyway. They should have done that shit anyway. They were scared like they never seen violence. They probably never have. Because this is what you do have. You do have liars when it comes to resume. You know? Alex, what's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Yeah, his boys were soft too. Someone should have stepped in. Yeah, somebody. And look, even on Rogers' team, they're like, bro, you know what I mean? And if they sit back like, yeah, get him, whoop that trick, get him, whoop that trick. If they were like that, yeah, they should have been there. Nah, they ain't your boys, bro. Because if something happens to Roger and your boys didn't stop you from hurting somebody seriously, and then as a result, you go to prison, or you go to jail, or you get fined a shitload of money, he ain't getting that fight purse. Or that check. That's why security is very, very important, man. Protection, security is very important. Because they could stop a lot of problems. A lot of problems. The first guy they tried to pull him off was supposed to be 17. Sad. The wrestler told Roger to get his recipe, which in wrestling means get his back. David Johnson, good day. What's up, brother? Counterpunch to you. Respect to the guy that did step in. I mean, finally, but these motherfuckers, man, them dudes, man, they were like, they didn't know what was happening. They didn't know what was happening. It's like they were like in a point where they were just scared, bro. They were just scared. Just scared. A receipt is get a lick back, not 22 unanswered punches. That shit was crazy. You know, something's got to be done to that. I don't know what, but whatever it is, it probably won't be fair based on the way it was handled. You know, but it goes to show you let somebody do what they want. That's the result. You let somebody do what they want to do to a guy or a person, that's the result. You know, overkill is just, bro, what the fuck are you doing? Stop. You hitting this dude like that, man, what's wrong with you? What's wrong with you? You know what I mean? Like, you know, because obviously he wouldn't wrap too damn tight himself. That's why you needed better security. Yeah, it wasn't much team spirit. The Kurt is in the Veal high five. What's up, brother? Bara Elohim in the building. Congratulations on 90K plus. Appreciate you, brother. Yeah, looking tough doesn't mean anything. If you don't know how to handle yourself, they just wanted a job and took one they weren't qualified to. But yeah, they weren't qualified, man, and they could have cost somebody their life. So, yeah. But they should never take a job like that. I mean, when you have security, it doesn't mean security. It just, you have people that take security jobs that they think it's all about walkie-talkies and flashlights. You know what I mean? Something like that, especially guys that let's say a riot breaks out. And if you had those dudes, they would have got their ass whooped. They would have been the ones bleeding on the floor, getting stepped on and beat down because they didn't know how to secure anything. Who you got, Canelo versus Crawford? I got Crawford. I got Crawford beating Canelo. But it's going to have to be one hell of a beating for him to win a decision. You should know that, right? Joel Diaz gave his prediction, and I thought this was pretty interesting, right? And he said, if Crawford beats Canelo, then boxing is over. It's finished. What will we do without Canelo Alvarez? Canelo has been holding up the sport, so if he gets beat by Crawford, Crawford is not big enough name for the sport to hold it up, so therefore he can't win the fight. Well, Joel, I'll tell you this. If you feel that way, you better hope he wins. But then again, what if people think like Joel does? And Crawford goes out there and shoe shines his ass and gives him a boxing lesson and a nice, shiner like Lada did. And, he does a combination of what Erislandy Lada did and what Floyd did. Because I look at Crawford as a guy that if you take the distance and you take the experience and you take the long arms and you take the boxing ability and you take the ability, the footwork, I look at Crawford being a smash up between Floyd Mayweather and Erislandy Lara. But then nobody, I don't think, matches his relentlessness. Because the dude, what happens is, Lara, he'll get hit. Sure, he'll just come back with a couple punches. Floyd, he'll stay in the pocket and you really won't hit him. But he does know how to do enough. And he gave Canelo exactly what he thought he needed. But, that dude, man, you punch Terrence, bro. Terrence is coming for you. If he stops Canelo, I think that's the best guaranteed way to win. Now, people saying that he can stop people, but the way he's talking, like anybody can be stopped. I hope this is what I hope for this fight. You know this fight is a week away now, right? This fight is 7 days away. Next Saturday, September 13th, 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. Be here. Hang around. Hang around on the chat. The chat's already there. Drop $100 on the chat. Let's get it. Let's do it. They didn't like Stu. He was an asshole. Roger picked a specific time where Psycho Stu was most vulnerable. Roger, I don't think, wanted to have a fair fight with Stu, probably because he was a veteran, wanted every advantage. Kurt, your opinion, new film, Dwayne Johnson and Usyk, MMA 90s. What's the name of it? I forgot. I have to take it off. I got to take my hat off to Alexander Usyk. Alexander Usyk is the only boxer, only athlete that has went to film or Hollywood only to come back to actually win. Everybody else, Rampage Jackson, Lennox Lewis, Roy Jones, all of those guys that went to films and then came back, got their ass whooped. All of them got beat. Every last one of them is like, dude, you go to Hollywood, you know. Yeah. And really, to tell you guys, keep it a buck with Hollywood. Usyk pretty much stole Fury's whole chances of Hollywood. If you notice, Wilder wanted to be a Hollywood guy. He just got his ass whooped. Fury wanted to be the Hollywood new sensation. He got his ass whooped. Now it's Usyk. Now he took place. He took that opportunity that they supposed to have. Because remember, Wilder was like, I want to be in the, I want to be in the movies. I want to be in the movies. I want to take up acting. I want to act. I want to act. Canelo ain't holding up the sport. The sport is holding up Nello for too long already. It's going to be hilarious, man, to see Canelo get pieced apart and fanboys screaming snack post fight, bruh. Well, you know why people did that. Maybe they were paid to do that, but they did that nonetheless because you go pick up snack. You know how many fucking fighters in the snack? You know how many fighters that are a part of snack? And you pick a guy that's never tested positive or any way, shape, or form. You take him out of the lineup of one person, one fighter that does snack, and all of a sudden snack is the devil. And you remember the history. Now we're doing a fucking history lesson. Nah, man, I don't buy that, bro. I think it was more to it than that. Other people have made videos about it, so I don't really have to. Neither am I going to, but that's my position on that. That's insurance. See, if Terrence beats the shit out of Canelo, that's going to be the number one excuse. So you're absolutely right. The final boss, Luca Mora in the building. You are absolutely right. That's going to happen, man. Yeah, you snack, snack. Bro, you know how many fighters were with snack? I mean, a lot, like Devin Haney. Yeah. Mikey Garcia. What's the Cuban guy? Cuban Flash. A lot of people, bro. David Benavidez. Demetrius Andrade. He got his ass destroyed by David Benavidez. But all these guys were snack guys. I think it's good for boxing if Crawford wins. If he does, then him and Usyk will inspire future fighters to move up and test themselves. Yeah, I think that's right. Usyk said Terrence will beat Canelo. He did. Bruce Vane just did a video about that. I did videos about that years ago. Holy weird. Dwayne Johnson went to Hollywood, came back to WWE, and then beat the champ. I'm like, okay. But I mean, he was a part of Hollywood. Those were just boxers that had a taste of Hollywood. Movies didn't work out good for Tommy Morrison either. He lived a wild life. Yeah, he did. I am very interested on how the hell he contracted AIDS. I would like to know that, I mean, did he say he did? He was with a lot of women, though. So he must have just been like, raw doll McGraw, Old dirty bastard. I like it raw. Bars. I didn't want to see Canelo versus Crawford fight happen that much either. I wanted to see Boots versus Crawford, Benavidez versus Canelo, and all the fights I believe more fans pushed for. Turkey wanted this fight. Well, here's the thing. Turkey wanted it, but Terrence got Turkey to want it because he proved it. Like, he was like, look, I want Canelo. But keep in mind, Canelo, though, he likes fighting smaller guys. He has no problems fighting smaller guys. So I don't see what the deal is. This, if he beats Terrence Crawford, it'll be him beating up another small dude that moved up in weight to fight him. Amir Khan, Jermell Charlo, Terrence Crawford. Simple. And see, the thing about Canelo, he didn't, he took his ass from 175 too, didn't he? Everybody said it was his cap. No, he just got his ass whooped. And then what he tried to do, he tried to tell Dimitri Bivol to come to 168. And Bivol was like, yep, I'll come to 168, but for all your belts. And Canelo was like, no, because Canelo wasn't sure that he could beat Bivol because Bivol already tapped that ass. And the way those punches, imagine, I'd love to see the Bivol fight, when he beat Canelo, is because it made me understand what someone with rapid volume could do to Canelo. That's how he beat Canelo. The volume punches beat him. That, the activity. Maybe if Lara would have done that, threw more punches, he would have been better off. I just think Cuban fighters, me with Cuban blood and all, I got family in Cuba and all that, I still think those guys are fucking arrogant. I think there's some arrogant boxers, bro. Some of the most arrogant sons of bitches on the planet are Cuban fighters because they train year round like they're in military camp, concentration camp. They train and then they go home to their families, right? For like here and there, little spots, little breaks for a week or two. Then they go right back to training camp. They wake up, they sleep on cots, they train, they eat, they sleep, they shit boxing. Let's see, Crawford is going to pull it off Canelo's head even more than it already is. Puff up Canelo's head more than it is. It's going to be some bullshit behind it, though. If you see a flawless performance by Terrence Crawford and Canelo didn't get dropped or stopped or whatever, this is what you're going to see. You're going to see a long wait. You're going to see the officials get their shit together in paperwork, and they're going to be stumbling and fumbling about. You're going to see this lull in time that's going to take forever. And that's what's going to be. I'm already going to tell you what's going to happen because they're going to be getting their paperwork. I'm like, bro, by the 12th round, you're supposed to score every fucking round. If you know anything about the protocol of judges, they score a round. They score the round. And it's added up round by round. So by the time the 12th round, they already know who the winner is, unless if it's a shutout, you know what I mean? If it's 10-9 all the way down, or 10-8 or 10-7 or whatever, all the way down, they already know what the score is. So when you see these officials and they're trying to hurry up and scramble these papers and figure out what it is, and it's like, what's to figure out if you already got the score? All you got to do is score the last round after the final bell. Ding, ding. Score the last fucking round. Give it to the official. The officials give it to the announcer. The announcer announces the winner. That's what happens. That's how it's supposed to go. So if anything at all, you see anything like that, you see people reading and you see them back there doing this and trying to figure out, no, that means that's some corrupted bullshit already. Canelo smashes Crawford anytime, any place. I think based on the power that Canelo's supposed to have, that I know he has, shit, it ain't what he's supposed to have. Canelo got power, man. If he doesn't beat Terrence Crawford, he probably will retire. He'll probably tell Turkey, fuck those other two fights, I'm out. Because I can't do this on a level that you expect me to no more. But knowing Canelo, he's holding a whole country behind him, so he's going to say that he won, just like he did with Bivol. See, in the Bivol fight, he said, I think I won. I think I won the fight. Yes, I think I won. See? Yeah. So he should smash. Red Green Turtle. He should smash Crawford. He should break him down the shoulders and elbows. Yeah. Just go to the body. Bang, 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 bang. Go to the body on Crawford. Make Crawford feel something he never felt before. That's what he needs to do. It's as dumb as claiming anyone who enrolls in VADA is a drug cheat. Since Victor Conte advised VADA how to test athletes for undetected substances. Yeah. But now he's the guy. Him! Yeah, I don't buy it, bro. But people are just doing their job, right? People are just doing their job. Seeing that Charlo turned down the Valdez fight, what is your thoughts on it, Kurt? Well, Jermell, he still has money, right? Which are we talking about, Jermell or are we talking about Jamal? The only thing Crawford has to worry about is those bullshit Canelo scorecards. I mean, that's all. I think that's what he needs to worry about. That will be the reason why he loses. He will lose a decision against Canelo if it is a close fight. I've already predicted that. Canelo's a cash cow, And I think the whole thing is if it's that much, if they know by just watching Terrence do something that they didn't think Terrence could do, and that's beat Canelo, based on a guy that's able or has been able until his last fight to stop every guy at welterweight. They got to call it a draw because they can't make Canelo look that bad. He's the A side. He's the cash cow. He's the guy that, no. Because if Crawford outboxes him like that, they're going to call it a draw just so they won't give and make Canelo a loser. They can't give Canelo a loss. I'll take it to Canelo. And look, I would be surprised if Canelo won a unanimous decision. No, I'll take that back. I would be surprised if Terrence Crawford won a unanimous decision. I don't think you'll see that outcome. I don't think you'll get. I don't think that. But I want to be wrong. He had it for most of his career. I take it Canelo is the favorite for the fight. Yep. Hollywood seems to be the worst place to go from all the drugs, parties, abuses. Well, I guess for some people, yeah. I think you have to be prone to that shit, though. You know what I mean? I think you have to be like into wild shit to be invited to wild shit anyway. You know what I mean? Like, unfortunately for like child actors, I think they get sucked into it because they don't know any better. They're kids, the Coreys. You remember the two Coreys and, all those guys, like, they go to those wild parties and shit like that, One thing that did open our eyes is, Justin Bieber, Leonardo DiCaprio, things like that. Yeah, I mean, so. Yeah, Bivol schooled him. Scorecards are BS. Canelo is the golden boy. Yeah. But if Canelo fights like he fought William Skull, yeah, he should lose because he didn't do anything with William Skull. You can't just throw, in Canelo, I know he has great punch placement, but at sometimes you look at the type of punches he throws, it's like, dude, he throws punches for particular areas. I get it, but nah. I think Crawford beats him. If Triple G couldn't drop Canelo, I'm not sure Crawford can. We'll see, though. Well, understand, though, There's a first time for everything. I get that. Canelo Alvarez has a neck like the old Mike Tyson used to have. So I wouldn't bank on it either. Just logically, Canelo's got a good chin, bro. Great defense, great upper body movement, good combinations. But I think Canelo is old. And a lot of people don't even realize that Canelo's younger than Crawford. A lot of people don't realize that. They don't realize that. Because think about it. Canelo Alvarez has been fighting since he was 15. The motherfucker's 35. The wear and tear. He's fought a lot more than Terrence Crawford. Crawford doesn't abuse his body. Crawford ain't one of them dudes. Usyk, Crawford, yeah. Who else is real clean? The poster child. Mayweather? There you go. I don't know why I can't remember that dude. I need to go back to sleep. Because I work till 2 in the morning. And then I didn't go to sleep until 4. So, Bivol didn't beat Canelo because of his size. He was just way too technical and moved too well. If he was a little smaller, he would have still won. Well, yeah, a lot of people try to say that was size to have stuff to do with it. No, it wasn't. Bivol, what we learned about Bivol, though, it wasn't the size, it was the toughness. He did say Canelo can punch. He said, yeah, Canelo can punch, but he loaded up on the punches versus someone that he's been in the ring with. He was in there with Artur, the Bear, Beterbiev. Arturo the Bear. He survived 24 rounds with Arturo the Bear. Nobody has done that. Nobody has done that. And since nobody has done that, right, that lets you know that Bivol has a good chin. So no, he could take the punches that Canelo was ditching at him. You see what I mean? So yeah, he was just a tough kid. Because Canelo was hitting Bivol. He called him right up the pipe with uppercuts. And Canelo thought, well, those punches that I'm landing and I'm throwing, that I'm committing to, should be enough. No, it's not the size. It was the chin. It was the durability that Bivol had, not the size that he had. A lot of people were trying to say, well, because he moved up in weight, his punches are not the same. Well, no. Because what did he do to Kovalev? He knocked Kovalev's old ass out, didn't he? And Kovalev didn't have nothing left. But he still knocked him out, though. I think Yard has to still be aware of Benavidez's power, but don't think that he has to fear it. Benavidez hasn't knocked anybody out at 175 since he debuted in the division. No, he hasn't, but that's okay. It's okay because Bivol don't knock people out like that. Bivol shoe shines you and outboxes you and gives you volume punches and gives you a lot to worry about. That's what Bivol does. David Benavidez is probably a similar fighter. He just doesn't have as good a footwork as Bivol, right? So, but I do think that David Benavidez is in the right division. My thing about David, though, don't go to cruiserweight. Don't fuck with Jai Apataya either. Don't go up there fucking around, please. As long as Jai's there, don't go there. Because Jai will hit him with something and hurts him and will knock him out cold. He's just too big. They want Jai Apataya to go to heavyweight. Because they know Jai Apataya is a guy that knocks people out. He's bigger. He's a bigger dude. You don't want to go up there dealing with people that are big like that. You better ask Chocolatito, before he fought Run Van Sai, right? You guys remember Run Van Sai? Marlon Thun, Triple G had thunder and power, but they would come in spurs. Crawford is going to light Canelo up from the angles with his quick sand ass isn't going to know what to do. We'll see. I can't wait to see the fight. I can't wait to see what their styles do with each other. I think that's very important. A lot depends on whether Crawford can handle Canelo's power. Yeah, that's what it has to do with. If he hits Crawford and Crawford can take those punches, Crawford is not going to respect that, and Crawford is going to be doing he's going to do him exactly like he did Spence. See, when Spence threw those shots at Crawford, yeah. But yeah, I mean, it's going to be an excuse anyway. Canelo is a dog, but he ain't nothing without the clenbuterol. Best version of Canelo was Triple G rematch. Kovalev and Billy Joe. That Nello is gone. I do agree that guy, and I think he was trying to show and convince people that he was that guy, that he's still that guy. You know what I mean? And I just don't see it, bro. The John Ryder fight, the Jaime Munguia fight, even the Belonga fight. I mean, he's still good. You know, Canelo fights like an old legend. If you notice, his last fights like someone that knows how to fight, that does the right things, that goes the amount of rounds, because that's experience. It's almost like Canelo fights off wisdom. If you notice Canelo doesn't do what he used to do. He ain't that hungry dog no more. He's like that dog that's half full, that only eats when he needs to eat. Meaning, he only punches and lands when he needs to land. He doesn't go for the KO. He goes for the distance. He goes to show his fighter how good he is technically now versus what he used to do, like he did with Caleb Plant. He beat the shit out of Plant. He beat him down. He caught him. He tracked his ass down. He put up the high guard, and he made his ass fall. That's what he did. He knocked his ass out. That's what he used to do. Now he doesn't do that. He doesn't have the mindset to do that. Again, he fights like an older fighter now. Canelo fights like an older fighter that's seasoned and wise. That's how he fights. So he's going to have to turn back the hands of time. Now, I will say this. Shout out to Showbiz the Adult. Showbiz did make a clever video about how Canelo fights better in September versus May. You know, and needless to say, when he did fight Bivol, it was in May. So I thought that was interesting. So we'll see if that theory of Showbiz is correct. But I am aware of what people think and how people lace it up. And I think that was very interesting. So, you know, shout out to Showbiz for bringing that to the forefront, because, I mean, that is a defensive move from the defense in the courtroom. Good job, Showbiz. Canelo's feet are way too slow. He won't catch Crawford. He only when Crawford is in the pocket. Yeah, I mean, I think that would have to be the time to unload, but Canelo's very good at that. Don't get me wrong, people. I am very nervous for this fight. Why? Because I know Canelo can punch, and I don't give a shit how old you are or the wear and tear or how slow someone appears to be. I know power is the last thing to go. You know? So, that being said, those exchanges, because you know Crawford's a dog. He ain't no, you know, somebody and run off. Nah, Crawford wants to mix it up. Perfect opportunity for Canelo to come with uppercuts and left hooks. You know? So, yeah, that makes me nervous as shit. Say Isaac Oyatan, if Crawford can keep him at bay, we might not even see too much of the typical Canelo rapid shots. Maybe. But I don't know. I think Crawford will want him to come forward. You know what I see on this fight? You know how he beat Sean Porter? And he easily, it's like he could have done that shit the whole fight. The way he knocked, or stopped, should I say, Sean Porter. He didn't knock him out. I'm not going to disrespect Sean like that. But He probably would have. That would have been bad, though. Kenny did a good job. Shout out to Kenny P, people. Kenny P did a good job. He threw the towel. He's like, nope, because my son has never looked like that ever. And I don't want to, all these other channels. Oh, that was the podcast Porter. Nah, bro. There ain't a such thing as podcast Porter. Sean Porter right now could go and beat the shit out of a welterweight that thinks they want to become a champion right now. Sean Porter, get Sean Porter ass in there. He'll run him right over like a fucking bulldog. Sean Porter whoop somebody right now talking about podcast Porter. Stop. Unfortunately, unless Canelo is shot, Crawford won't win. He's jumped too many weights soon. We'll see. Bivol dominated Canelo and officially won by 1 round. Ain't that a bitch? Let that sink in. Ask Skip, counterpunch to you. The man with the wrench in the building, also with that counterpunch. Never doubt Crawford. I did versus Spence. Crawford, too crafty. Yeah. Crawford is a crafty mofo, people. Yeah, they will definitely try to rob Bud, but if it does go to the scorecards, they even tried to rob Floyd against Nello, even though he was the main pay-per-view attraction. Yeah, all facts. CJ Ross, 114 to 114. I'll never forget that. And once that happened, Floyd was losing his shit. You remember Floyd? What the fuck? What the fuck is this? Don't forget Aaron Carter. Crawford will run once he feels the power. Jose Chavez. Jose, you know what you got to drop if Crawford whoops that ass, right? $500. Didn't forget you, pal. I know you'll be here. I hope. Don't run off now. If Crawford runs, his legacy is over. His legacy will take a hit, yeah. I do agree on that, Jose. If he decides to, yeah. Canelo is worn down. Body has been through a lot. Well, I don't know if it's worn all the way down. I don't want to say that. I don't think that that's the case. And if that is the case, what's the point? Why would you want to fight somebody that ain't credible any longer? So I don't want to broadcast that or support that narrative that Canelo's just worn down. Is he slowing down? I've been saying that. I've been saying that the last couple of years, but is he worn down? No. Kurt, if Crawford runs, his legacy is ruined beyond repair. Okay? I'm Canelo fan. Crawford will figure him out by defense and countering. Bro, I can't wait to see it because we can see how good these dudes are. The Bivol Beterbiev fights were brilliant. Yeah, I do respect both fights. I think Beterbiev would have, if he wouldn't have let off the gas, he would have got Bivol's ass. Bars. Balls. But Luca, okay, so where is the positive test? AJ ain't clean, bro. He's polluted with every pharmaceutical you can think of, from EPO to HGH and Tren and Deco. Yeah, I'm with Askip. Yeah, where's the positive test? That's what I'm talking about with Terrence Crawford. See, if you talk that shit about AJ, but then don't condone it against Terrence Crawford, we got an issue because that's contradicting. Until these guys show up with at least an adverse finding. See, if it's an adverse finding, you can still speculate. At least you can wonder at that point because the test didn't go the way it's supposed to win. If there's any question mark in any kind of way, for any reason, there's a problem. That's a problem right there. So, yeah. So, like, look, Manny, AJ, those guys, look, And AJ's tested more than anybody. And I just don't buy it. I don't buy someone like if AJ was just knocking people ass out like fucking Sammy Sosa or Barry Bonds, knocking them out of the park. Yeah, that would be an issue. But no, he got his ass destroyed by by Danny Dubois. You know, I don't see a juiced up AJ taking that kind of ass whooping. I just don't see it. Canelo seems a bit of a plotter now, but you only have to turn off for a minute and Canelo will break you. Canelo will throw that hook Canelo has. I'm telling you guys, that hook Canelo has, that's a scary punch, bro. See, one thing about me, I'm not, I'm going for Crawford. I like Crawford, but I like Canelo too. You know what I'm saying? I like Canelo. I think Canelo has been good for the sport. I don't like the close ass scorecards. I know that's bullshit, but you have to remember Canelo's good enough to make you understand how good he is. So I just never agreed with the Golden Boy protection plan. Right? I just never agreed with the Golden Boy protection plan. You guys don't know what that is? The Golden Boy protection plan was the plan set in place for Canelo to never lose a fight after he lost his official fight to Floyd Mayweather. I think it was almost like, hey, Golden Boy set in motion. Officials, the powers that be, that he would never lose another professional fight again. Do you think Bivol, if he doesn't fight Benavidez or Beterbiev in a third fight, could he compete at cruiserweight? Moving up, he still has tools. Yeah, he could. I wouldn't recommend it, honestly, but if he wants to test himself, shit, if Terrence is testing himself, why not him? Right? So, and especially if Terrence beats Canelo, well, I mean, yeah, everybody will try to say, hey, I think I've got it. I think I've got it. Sirgon, you don't know box. You don't know box. Showbits is not. I don't know what the fuck that means. Bro is on the high cycle in September. Canelo about to knock Crawford head off. You know what though? I'm not a thing about conspiracies and shit like that, but wait, bro is on the right cycle in September. Now, here's the thing, and I am putting this out there though. It makes you wonder why the fuck AJ ain't fighting in December. There, I did say that. There you go. For all you conspiracy heads, there you go. There's food for you. Eat that shit up. Eat it up. Why AJ is not fighting in December? Who's fighting in December? Who's fighting in December? It ain't Usyk. Usyk's injured. So who's fighting in December? It ain't Tyson. Tyson's retired. Who's fighting in December? Because, I mean, that's normally supposed to be like an AJ, the end of the year. AJ ain't fought none this year. None. I still think Bivol beats Zerto at cruiserweight. I know he does. That's why people know, and you should understand, Zerto is better with a fighter that cannot move as well. He can outwork a fighter with poor or less mobile footwork. I still think Bivol beats Zerto. Since Aget Caballo is the WBC interim champion, I think him versus Lawrence Okolie should happen. Okolie is ranked number 1 in the rankings. Makes sense. Yep. I want to see that fight because that's a dangerous fight for Caballo. Caballo has, he has a good chin, but Lawrence Okolie is a guy, he's a one-punch dude. A guy with one punch. A kind of a Wilder type guy, but he's like a fat Wilder now. It's sad. Bro, lose some weight. I seen Derek Chisora blast Mark McCauley for being so fat. Well, guess what? You should say the same thing about Lawrence Okolie. Lawrence Okolie is supposed to be a Bridger weight champion, right? Why the fuck is this dude 270 pounds? Back away from the plate. Step away from the stone. Stop eating. Come on, bro. And he looked like shit his last fight. I mean, to be fair, he does anyway. I mean, I don't think he's just... Here's the thing. Lawrence Okolie is a guy, he's a sniper. Long arms, tall, rangy, I get it. Lanky, yeah. Punches don't sway as much as guys with shorter arms. But that man, if he catches you with that backhand, he can lay you out. He can lay you out. And I think the weight gain hurts him because he's not the dude. And I think he's trying to overcompensate with extra weight, and he shouldn't do that. Step away from the plate, please. You know? So Lawrence Okolie is, I think he's a decent fighter. He's just not an exciting fighter to watch. But pay that no mind. He's still a dangerous fighter. He's a guy that, yeah, if he catches you with on the end of that shot, he can hurt you. So Caballero fighting the way he fights, that needs to get in. You know, because all Lawrence, it's going to be, I'm going to tell you something first of all. That's going to be one of the shittiest looking fights that you could possibly watch. And I'm going to tell you why. You got a guy that likes to punch in and out, come in and out, use good boxing ability, but while he's on the inside, work the body. Lawrence Okolie is a guy that likes to fight from the outside only. Only. And when he finds out he can't land the shots from the outside and a fighter comes mid-range to inside, he's going to lock you up and clinch you all fucking night long, guaranteed. And you're going to hate to watch a fight like that because you're going to see a guy that wants to work on the inside, and Lawrence is not going to allow him to. And the fans will hate it. However, is that the wrong game plan for Lawrence Okolie? No. See, because you have to understand about fighting. Making it uncomfortable for the next fighter is strategy. Sometimes those fights don't supposed to look good. Sometimes these fights don't supposed to look the way you think they look. These fights are looking the way that they're supposed to go based on how you make them. And Lawrence Okolie allowing Caballero to throw those body shots like that, 4 or 5, 6 or 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, punch combinations to the stomach, 4 or 5 rounds, 6 or 7 rounds, his ass will go down. He'll be just like Zane. If you allow that to happen, you can allow that to happen. Being the type of fighter that Lawrence Okolie is, he's a sniper. If you're a sniper, you don't want anybody in your close proximity. You have to be far away from that guy to be successful. Okay, so Lawrence Okolie, to be fair, that's exactly what he's supposed to be doing. Wrap his ass up, because if you don't, he's going to give you the blues to the belly. And if he keeps hitting you to the belly, your belly's going to ache. Okay? And a lot of all those shots, he'll throw certain shots that are light, but then some of those shots have sting on them. And you don't want to keep getting hit with body punches like that from Maget Caballero. You better ask Arslan Markmadov, Frank Sanchez, Zili Zhang. You better ask these guys about that. Kurt, the Munguia positive test reversal seems suspect to me. It does. You know? But I mean, do you understand that may be a power move by the Reynosos? Because, you know, the trainer, the longtime trainer of Canelo, takes on a new guy and it looks bad. Then all of a sudden he gets popped. Then all of a sudden, no, he didn't. Yeah, that's bullshit. You already know that, right? Crawford looks ready and dangerous. He looks incredibly ready, Kurt. Yeah, I hope he is. Because he's going to need to be. Okolie is a Bridger weight champion. Doesn't really matter because he's 270 pounds. That's the whole point. Bridger weight is a fraud. It's a bullshit made up division that never should have been existed in the first place. Never should have been around. Wardley versus Parker, I think Parker can outbox Wardley, seeing how Wardley struggled with his last opponent. Parker is known for getting up from knockdowns multiple times One KO isn't going to be enough. One knockdown is not going to be enough. I mean, that's if Wardley can do it. He would have to knock him. He would have to knock Parker out. And if he's able to do that, that'll solve the Parker problem. The justice for Joseph posts and picket fence posters and all that shit. You can throw that right in the barrels and set them afire. Exactly, a good strategy fight can look boring to people watching it, but ones in the ring are doing what they need to do. Todd, absolutely. And see, Lawrence Akali would have to do exactly that. But do I like to see him fight? No. I'd rather watch the Klitschko's fight. He's in that Klitschko shit. But the Klitschko's were successful, weren't they? Most of the time. So there you go. Pulverize. If anyone who's done any bodybuilder and gone on a cycle can tell AJ is one of those most obvious drug cheats in history of the sport of boxing. Damn! That's crazy. Kurt, the Mungia positive test seems okay. All right, let's see. What did I miss? I think Bivol beats Zerto. All right. My money's on Wardley. Okay. That's a bold statement. Because, I mean, if you're looking at that fight, you're looking at the two fighters. If you've seen Parker lately, just did a video on Parker. Parker looks good. You can see from vascular muscles if someone is clean or not, as well as side effects such as bloated gut, roid rage, and acne, all things AJ has displayed through his career. I never seen AJ with body acne or just face acne. Roid rage. When did he have roid rage? Oh, after the Usyk fight. See, you guys are wrong. See, we're putting puzzles together that's damn near fitting. All Wardley needs is experience. He'll be world champ sooner or later. Yeah, or later. I mean, here's the thing about boxing. Boxing will come to the point when it starts over. Once it starts over, once all the belts get fragmented back to their respected places and they become vacant, that's when whoever will try to get them back, whoever will try to be the unified, and AJ came up short, Tyson came up short, Wilder came up short, Andy came up short. Everybody except for Usyk came up short. If Parker beat regular Wilder already, then he would beat a fat Wilder. Wardley too. A fat Wilder. Listen, I call him the brown Wilder. Because, I mean, that's what they were, they're saying, like, he's like Wilder, right? Not too much experience, but hits like a cannon. All right? Pulverized. That's true. I can't say for sure if he's still using, but he's definitely a former abuser. Well, that can't be proven, so, it is what it is. It is what it is. He beat a zombie ayahuasca anorexic version, 40-year-old version of Wilder. He ducked prime Wilder. That's on record. Wardley is a white collar fighter. Well, we will see if the fight happens, but I think Parker will beat him. I think Parker's a different fighter than he was then because I think Parker was more for speed. Now he's more for still having agility, but power because he's bigger. I think the added power, he's bulkier now. He's bigger now. He's like 270 now. He's in the 260, 270 range. And I think Parker, is planning on doing his thing. He's planning on knocking people's ass out. Zombie ayahuasca Wilder. Peace and blessings. Peace and blessings. Yeah, he was high. Motherfucker was high. He was so high, we seen him with Telly Swift, and Telly Swift wasn't even there. She had broke up with him already. He was so high, she was still around in aura. That did make me wonder. I'm like, dude, how would you go from December? And I guess I don't know. I don't really understand that. Like, I don't know. That's just way off the rocker for me because if they were having problems in 2023, and then by 2024, like of May, he was with a whole nother chick. But obviously, so is she. I mean, dude, Miller knew the score. He got himself out of that fight in a double quick time. You think Miller was juicing? You think he was roiding when he was slapping Fabio's head? He dissed him? Wilder was manufactured. Yeah, I mean, I think Wilder did exactly what they wanted him to do. I think they didn't expect Tyson to beat him because Tyson, they thought that, and they were hoped that Tyson was just worn down, like people are trying to say Canelo is. Telly Givens got him wanting to fight until he's 50. He's going to have to. Poor bastard. Poor bastard. Feel bad for Wilder, man. If you guys notice, I used to go hard on Wilder. I don't think nobody went harder on Wilder than Bruce Vane and D3 the Boom Man. Those guys went on Wilder like they went hard on Wilder. It was yin and yang for me. It was a love-hate relationship with Wilder. Now, I don't even really feel comfortable talking about Wilder bad because I hate what happened to him. I hate what happened to Wilder, man. I mean, because one thing that I could say, and one thing that was promised to me by the powers that be, that Telly Swift or Telly Givens or whatever y'all call her now, that she was not that type of person. You know what I mean? She was, she was definitely like in his corner. Until she was not. And I'm more disappointed in her because I'm thinking to myself, like, okay, she was with him a long time. So to me, I think she played the long game with Wilder, had the kid and all that. And, and she had a child. So I'm assuming he took care of him too, because she had a son. And, and based on all that, because that's not the right time to be cheated on when you get your ass whooped. So not only did he get his ass whooped, he lost his girl and all that. People, if you knew what I know about the Wilder family, you would be like, damn, no way. Wilder brought a lot of hate on himself. He did. I mean, I think he played the, the villain role good. But even if you play the villain role, that doesn't mean you deserve the shit that you got. So, I miss Wilder. I miss that old Wilder. I miss that Wilder hitting somebody and knocking them out. I miss that dude. We still haven't saw that. And then that's what people's worry is. People are concerned because we supposed to receive that in the Herndon fight. That's why I think they thought about Curtis Harper and they're like, nah, let's get Herndon because Herndon is an easier prey. And when he couldn't be the predator that he was with that particular type of prey to get the job done, that was bad. That looked bad. But again, getting out the cobwebs. That's why I don't really like this idea of this big fight because we still don't know if Wilder has what it takes to be even in the ring again. And somebody like Francis Ngannou, do you know what that means for Wilder if he fights Francis and Francis goes in there and Uncle C mollywops his ass? Do you guys know what will happen to Wilder? He will be done, double done, son. He'll be over with. Because at this point, he will be under Tyson Fury because at least Tyson Fury went 10 rounds with him. AJ knocked him out. So you already know what that's about. I mean, the three kings have the same mutual motherfucker, and that's Francis Ngannou, a guy that is from the UFC universe. He needs to pretend Telly is in Miller's body. He needs some justice in his personal life. Well, I mean, just let you know. I mean, you can't don't fuck over people when you're on top. You know, because you don't really know while you're on top who is really there for you. You know, because it's lonely at the top. Who do you think will win between Joseph Parker and Fabio Wardley? Joseph Parker. Muhammad Rayhan. He said you and Black Cloud are the biggest fangirls. Wilder fangirls. Luca, the facts say different. Pulverize. Ngannou versus Wilder could have Rocky 2 ending with a double KO. Yeah, that would be pretty cool, but Wilder would be doing it for the money, but if the man needs money, I say let's have it. The facts show he made attempts to fight AJ, Povetkin, Fury, and Usyk. Well, the AJ negotiations, they're just too exhausting for me to keep talking about over year after fucking year. That shit's done, bro. I mean, if it was truth to it or not, it is what it is. I think that's, But I think a lot of it had a lot to do with two things: greed and pride. I think that's what stopped AJ and Wilder from happening. Either way, either side. Greed and pride. The facts show that he made attempts to fight AJ. Okay. Luca Wilder went to court to avoid Povetkin and AJ. Forget mentioning AJ versus Wilder negotiations. It was obvious Wilder was the B side. I mean, everybody knew that. But Wilder looked at it like, hey, I'm still somebody too. But he knew he wasn't AJ. I think people hated AJ for that shit, I mean, AJ was every fucking where. AJ this, AJ that. People loved AJ. All the endorsements, which he still has, by the way. Under Armour and Beats by Dre, and like they keep giving him more shit. I'm like, damn, dude, you're gonna be rich forever. All day, every day, boxing. A gay J, damn. So yeah, I mean, everybody, like that whole, persona of this golden Olympian. Yeah, he flew all the way to Russia just for Povetkin to fail 2 drug tests. I guess AJ ducked White when White failed his drug test and had to be pulled out, right? Yeah, that's the funny thing about fighting AJ. Everybody pops. Ruiz, White, Povetkin, Hellenius. These dudes were popping dirty, boy. Miller. Right? Povetkin was cleared, but Wilder went to court to avoid the mandatory against Povetkin. Povetkin fought AJ instead. Yeah. And see, Povetkin probably would have knocked out Wilder. Look, that was going to end in a knockout. Because you know what he did to White. See, that's probably the fight that Wilder should have had. The one that, White always takes fighters' leftovers. I'll fight him. Not a good idea. But no, man, in closing, Roy, is a golden Olympian, officially 1988 golden Olympian. He can now put that medal where all the other accolades are. You know, he has shit 20, 30 fucking belts in a room somewhere in Pensacola. Then he can put that Olympic gold right by the silver that he didn't deserve. I wonder if Roy gave him that silver medal. You know, in exchange, like, look, you gave me the gold, so you got to leave with something. So here you go, here the silver for you. So let's publicize that too. You can take the silver, take that back to Korea with you, and show everybody that you really the silver and I'm really the gold. So I'm gold, you silver. You silver, I'm gold. So there you go. So I know everything about the Diddle I Joe the damned if you know, but silver is okay too, because silver coming back in a good way. But gold ain't nothing like gold, because gold is what I hold. Bars. But you guys, man, be blessed, be safe. I hope you enjoy this Saturday weekend. I'm going back to sleep. That's what I'm doing. But I may do a watch along on boxing tonight. I may not. But stay tuned. And until then, everybody's been counterpunched. Peace.